A hearty shalom to you, Jeffrey Seif here. Do you know traditional Judaism and Catholicism don't really have a lot in common, but there is one thing. Both see abortion as really deeply problematic. It's so much an issue in our culture today. Speaking today, there's a woman with us here today who escaped an abortion. People talk about escaping getting out of jail. She had to escape getting out of the womb. Kirsten.
I did.
Yes.
About a decade ago, I found out that first I was adopted. Secondly, that my birth mother, and I'm not throwing her under the bus, it was the option that her parents gave her. That was it.
How old was she?
She was 23.
So it's not like trying to, was she married?
Not married.
No, so it was adjudged to be scandalous?
Yes.
Let's just bury that.
And shameful, and how could you?
Yeah.
But that was me inside, you know, like, it's just kind of crazy. But found out that she had gone over to Sweden with my maternal grandmother to have an abortion, to have my life aborted because it was illegal in the States, it was illegal in Sweden.
It sounds a little weird, and again, I'm not trying to disrespect your parents.
It's all kinds of weird, but keep going.
But it is your grandmother taking your mother, looking out for her best interest. I want to look out for the best interest of my daughter. Let's go kill her daughter. It just sounds a little weird.
I understand that, but also I think at that time in history, in 1965, it was so incredibly shameful. And it was my birth mother came from this picturesque family. They were well-to-do, and I was the embarrassment. How dare our daughter get...
Right,
so,
it would rock their world.
Right, so I'm very, oh my gosh, I am anti-killing a baby. But I, as a woman, have to understand that she thought that that was the best thing for her, and so did my maternal grandparents.
In the whole abortion debate, do you think we need to hear each other's voices? By that I mean, like you, I'm no friend of abortion, to be sure. There's an argument, you have a 14-year-old girl and a 15-year-old girl. She doesn't come from a lot. She comes from a little poverty, and if she has a baby, she's destined to poverty, as is the child. So let's just get rid of the child and afford her the opportunity to push a reset button. People argue that's in the best interests of the baby and of the mother. It doesn't comport with my sensibilities.
Right.
So I'm sympathetic with people on the other side of the argument, but still, thou shalt not kill is thou shalt not kill.
I understand, and I'm sympathetic to someone's life story. I get to share my story across the country, literally to women in churches and conference centers across the country, and I will have women, and I don't mean to be like, look at, you're lined up to speak with me. I will have women lined up to speak with me, and I've had women come up to me and say, I've never told anyone this, but I aborted a baby that I had. And I care about that life in there, but I also care about that soul and that person that walked through that journey. Because at that time, they thought they were doing the best thing they knew possible, even though now the regret and the pain they bear is so incredibly heavy.
You know, it's interesting you say it, because the whole Roe versus Wade conversation that stirs it all up again, it's probably going to stir up a lot of things with women that are involved secretly, never mind to what extent it was known in the whole abortion world. It's kind of like people don't talk about it.
Oh, it's the big secret. And I mainly speak in churches, and if I had $1 for every woman that was sitting out there that has either had a baby and given it up or have walked through an abortion, I'd be so rich. But my passion is for, and I'm going to speak right to this camera, and I know this is a video, but if you have walked through something like that, I want you to know there is unconditional love and unconditional forgiveness, regardless of what you chose to do. And I know you live with that pain because I know there's this shame that comes, and there could be physical pain and the thought of what did I do? But I don't want to look in the past. I want to look to the future. God has a hope and a future for you, and He offers forgiveness. This is not a weight we have to carry around when we have the Lord in our life.
Can I say this too? You've ministered to men who have gone through the same issue.
They forced their girlfriend or
Right.
whatever to have an abortion.
Yeah.
It's a big issue. And is it a life? Completely yes. Are we pro-abortion? No. But I'm pro someone's soul that has walked through that. And there's forgiveness and there's love. That's where my heart is.
I want to give you the last word, but before I give it to you, in the picturesque view behind you, there's the Valley of Gehenna, and that's where child sacrifices were offered for other reasons. But one thing about biblical religion is that we don't kill our kids.
I agree.
Can't even
I agree.
imagine.
And we don't. And I think a majority of the women that have walked through abortions and different, I mean, I was a baby from the 60s. That was a whole different time that we don't support that, but we have to support, and I was going to say, many women that have had abortions, it was not their choice.
Gotcha.
They were forced to do that.
Say something to those women or someone else. Last word's yours. Take us out.
God loves you more than you could ever imagine. I would love to say to you today, the shame, the pain, the guilt, if you have had an abortion, know that Christ has taken, or should want to take, all that pain, that shame. He carried it on the cross for you so that you can be free of that. And I just pray that one day at the end of your journey, and I pray you live long, that you will meet that baby or babies one day. And also, your story can change lives. If we stop holding in that shame and keeping our stories to ourselves, the freedom comes from when you share your story and other people say, you walked through that also? How do I get to where you are right now? God will use your story, and I just pray that joy comes back into your life.